Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. My name is Crimson and today we are going to be finishing up the Berserk art book. It's been a while, it's been a very in-depth art book which I absolutely love. I had intended this to be a two-parter, however it ended up being a three-parter instead. So this will be the finale of it, since there's not that much of the book left to cover. So again, we are joined by the Guts Nendroid. I just like having him here whenever I record these videos. And just as the disclaimer that is in all of the other Berserk art book videos, if you are unfamiliar with Berserk, it contains extreme and graphic violence, both normal violence and sexual violence. So if these are topics that make you uncomfortable or you would prefer not to listen to or watch as you were trying to relax, I would recommend skipping this video. I have checked, and essentially all of my other art books don't contain any of that kind of content, so going forward this should be the end of the sexual violence stuff. So without further ado, let's get into it and finish this series up. Also, don't mind my eyedrop bookmark. I could not find my normal bookmark, so we make do on this channel. So this is where we ended off last time, with this colored panel of Guts and Griffith. Guts in the Berserker armor and Griffith after being reborn in his Falcon armor. So let's continue. So we start with this panel of all of the apostles in the new or neo Band of the Hawk kneeling to Griffith after Griffith has, or not just Griffith and his apostles have slaughtered some Kushans. So we have Griffith on his horse here, we have Grunbeld kneeling here, it looks like he's kneeling, and we have Zod over here in his human form, quote-unquote human form. He still looks like an absolute monster, even compared to Grunbeld here, who is like 9 or 10 feet tall. Again, this is a picture of the interior of some of the Kushan Empire, specifically the palace. So we have the Bakaraka with Salat kneeling down here. We have guards on either side. And here is Ganishka, the Dread Emperor. Ganishka is actually one of my favorite villains. I just think it's cool because he's the only apostle who refuses to follow Griffith. Every other apostle has decided to swear fealty and follow Griffith, even Zod, even though he had to be bested in battle. But Ganishka flat out refuses, saying that he will overcome the God Hand and essentially become the most powerful being in existence. I think he's a very, very cool character in this story. A great panel here of a double spread of Zod with Griffith riding on top of him. This is after they rescue Princess Charlotte and cannot forget her trusty handmaiden Anna after they break out of the Wyndham capital that has been occupied by the Kushans. So in the escape attempt, they essentially broke the roof of the chamber holding the princess and her handmaiden, and Zod just picked up the bed with the both of them in it and just flew off, which I think is pretty cool. And the massive moon in the back just makes for an excellent panel. I really like the double spreads in this book. Great colored panel here. We have Ganishka in a bit more detail. You can see some of the runes on his armor. Kushans have a lot of eye symbolism in their decor and their armor. There's an eye behind Ganishka. There's eyes all across his armor. And here we have Griffith with, who is it? We have Zod here, Grunbeld, and I think here we have Griffith with Zod at his side holding a sword, Grunbeld, and some of the war demons. It is a very funny moment in Berserk when all of the civilians, they hear about Griffith and his war demons, and they just think it's like a, you know, like a military term for morale, like, oh, they fight like demons, and then they realize, like, oh no, these guys are actually full-on demons, which is just kind of funny, seeing all the civilians and peasants reacting to it. I just think it's a very funny moment. Here is probably not just this panel in this art book, but just in Berserk as a whole. This whole scene that transpires over a few pages, actually it might even be a few chapters, where they have their kind of little moment on the beach. So we have Shurike behind Guts. Guts is just standing back, looking at everyone enjoying themselves, because he, one, doesn't want to get in the way, and two, he knows that Casca is terrified of him, and he's just watching Casca, who is absolutely overjoyed to be at the ocean. So we have Serpico, Farnese, Isidro kind of playing in the water, and Casca following behind him, with Puck and Evalira just flying overhead. Guts just kind of looking on, very melancholic. This is really the moment when he realizes that he finally has a new family, which is just a great moment for Berserk. I know a lot of people don't like modern Berserk. It's definitely different. I won't lie, it is different from the first couple of arcs, but I really like it. It just really emphasizes the whole healing aspect of the story and where it's going on that front. This is when they get attacked by the tigers. These tigers are possessed by Kushan sorcerers, and here we have some of the nobility looking on. This is the party that has entered Wyndham, trying to kind of figure out what's going on, and discovering that the city has been completely overrun by Kushans, by demons, and by familiars controlled by Kushan mages, the tigers being one of them. The only way to actually defeat the tigers is to kill the mage that is using him as a familiar. Once the mage has been dealt with, the tiger just reverts back to essentially just being a normal tiger. Still very dangerous, but way less dangerous than when it's being possessed by a sorcerer. Similar things happened when Guts and the gang get attacked by the crocodiles on the beach, and Serpico finds them a boat full of Kushan sorcerers, and he beheads them all, and the crocodiles just turn back into crocodiles and just kind of rumble off. Here is a great panel. We have Guts fighting his way through the Kushan war demons. Guts straining, trying his best to, keep the Berserker armor and Beast of Darkness at bay as he slaughters everything to clear a path for Casca, Fanaze, Shirake, Isidro, and everyone else. Really good panel. And yeah, there's a very funny, I'm not going to say what it is because it is very offensive, but at the end of this battle, if you have been reading Berserk for a while, and specifically if you have been reading some of the fan translations, there's one fan translation in particular, or not fan translation, sorry, scanlation, which has Guts addressing Ganishka in a very offensive manner. I won't say what that is, but if you know, you know. This is when Guts and Zod end up teaming up to destroy Ganishka's mist form. Guts and Zod were previously fighting, and Guts ended up on Zod's back, and they essentially realized that, hey, I want to kill you, you want to kill me, but the bigger threat right now is Ganishka, so the two of them team up. It's actually, I think it's funny, Guts essentially puts his sword on the back of Zod's neck and essentially says, we're doing this, or I'm just gonna cut your head off right now. And it's a really, really cool moment where these two bitter rivals who have a grudging respect for each other team up and end up defeating Ganishka's mist form by slicing through him in his third eye in the middle of his forehead, actually causing Ganishka's physical body to have extreme pain due to the force of the blow. This is Shirake and Fanaze during Fanaze's training. Fanaze, despite being a former member of the Holy Iron Chain Knights and essentially a witch hunter, asked Shirake to teach her how to do magic and become a mage. So the witch hunter who killed countless mages, they might not have even been mages, you know how the Inquisition is, anyone who looks at them funny all of a sudden ends up being a witch or a sorcerer and gets dealt with accordingly, usually by being burned at the stake. And if you know Fanaze, anything to do with burning anything alive is her cup of tea. Another great panel of some of the Kushan war demons. I can't remember what these guys are called, but here is a great colored panel of a showcase of all of the Kushan, or not all of, but some of the major Kushan war demons and war beasts. This is Master Daiba, his first appearance, leading the magical or demonic assault on Vertanis. I don't think he's leading the main army, but he's in charge of the demonic magical side of it. He is a very, very powerful sorcerer. Again, more pictures here of some of the tigers, some of the Kushan war demons. We have Grunbeld here in his dragon helmet. Say what you want about Grunbeld. His helmet and his armor is really, really cool. We have Locus here, who, despite being an apostle, is actually very honorable, quote-unquote honorable for, an apostle. And Irvine, who is an incredible, incredible archer. and his demonic form is really cool. It's essentially a centaur, but his human half is at the back of the beast, and he uses the front of the beast, which is some kind of like deer style animal. He uses its horns as a bow and launches these massive arrows at people. It's a really cool design. I think it's probably, or his apostle form is probably my favorite design in all of Berserk. You know what? I don't do this often, but if you've read Berserk, let me know in the comments who's your favorite apostle form in Berserk. They are all really cool. Some of them are a lot better than others. Some of them a lot more majestic looking than others. Grunbeld transforms into a dragon, whereas the slug count from the Black Swordsman arc transforms into a slug monster. So it's 50-50 whether or not the God Hand decides to, give you some good demonic drip. Another picture of Zod. This is again his human form. You can see clearly that he does not look human at all. Locust looks human, Irvine looks human, Grunbeld kind of looks human, apart from, being like 10 feet tall and his red eyes. But Zod, even in this form, still looks absolutely demonic. This is exactly the form that I was just talking about with Irvine. So he uses the horns of this beast to launch arrows with, which is really cool. And you can probably tell from this picture why I like him so much. And riding on him is Sonia, who is a psychic and a mind reader, and a very, very powerful psychic at that, despite being just a young girl. A lot of people have very, let's just say, strong opinions about Sonia, because she knows what Griffith is, being such a powerful psychic and mind reader. She knows exactly what Griffith is, but she is still in love with him. So maybe she's insane, maybe she's evil, maybe she's just a little girl with a crush on the beautiful king. Who knows? And an incredible colored picture of Serpico here. I really like this, especially with the crescent moon in the background. This is Guts and Shirake. Shirake in her astral form, kind of clinging on to Guts as he's in the Berserker armor, trying to pull him out. It looks like in this that she has just pulled him out of the armor. Shirake is really the only person capable, despite being a child, who can pull Guts out of that form, which otherwise he would not be able to escape from. We have Fernese here in her full royalty clothing, being a member of the Vandermeer family. As stated in part 2, the Vandermeer family is a very, very wealthy, noble family. Almost if I kind of think of it as like the Berserk version of the Medici family. Very into banks, very into, profits and business ventures. Not a super military power, but a absolute unit of an economic power. And this is our first introduction, in this book anyway, to Captain Roderick. Roderick is the husband of Farnese, because if you remember, the party's goal is to reach Elfhelm, and with Vertanis under siege and every single ship being used for war, in order to secure a ship, Farnese agreed to marry Roderick here, who is a captain of a ship, and an incredible captain and admiral at that. And despite being an arranged marriage, which Farnese was not super pleased about, Roderick is an absolute stellar lad. He's polite, he's a true gentleman, treats Farnese with the utmost respect, and is a really good leader. He's not just a pumped up noble, he is a formidable admiral. Another double spread of guts in the Berserker armor. This is either the Berserker armor about to consume him before he goes into a full rage. One might even say before he goes berserk. That's the second time I've made that joke in this series. Or this is after Shirake has pulled him out. I'm not quite sure. Judging by the look of rage and hate on his face, I'm assuming this is before the Berserker armor takes hold of him. Okay, apologies for the cut there. I just went and got myself a glass of water because my mouth was getting quite dry. This is a colored picture of the Moonlight Child, a very, very important character to the series, and I believe this is the first time that he has shown up in the art book. I'm not going to go into too much detail about him in case you have not read Berserk, because saying anything about him really spoils a whole lot of essentially the entire story. So just know that this boy right here is very, very important. Picture here, another great colored one of Shirake and Farnese, who is seemingly being taught a lesson by Shirake. We have Casca sitting next to her, kind of clutching her leg. I think I said this in part 2, but Farnese is essentially Casca's best friend at this point. She's the only one of the entire group who she absolutely loves. She likes everyone except for Guts. She hates Guts at this point. She likes everyone else, but Farnese is not only her caretaker, but her friend, and Casca is Farnese's friend too. They have a really, really good bond. And Farnese going from this pampered, well-off girl from a wealthy, noble family to being a caretaker of a severely mentally challenged woman is a great part of her character. And she even says during the story that, you know, she doesn't find it to be a burden or annoying or anything. She finds it extremely fulfilling and feels like she has purpose in her life. And Isidro and Serpico are just hiding behind a tree, looking on, trying not to get in the way of the women. So we have Guts, Serpico, Farnese, Shirake, Casca, and Isidro. I'm not sure where they are at this point. This might be Elfam, but I actually do not know. There's seagulls everywhere, so they're close to the sea, obviously. And you might not be able to make it out with the camera being a bit further away. But both Casca and Farnese have exclamation marks, so they're both exclaiming they've obviously seen something which has caught their interest. Another picture here of Griffith, aka Femto. In this, he has gone back to his Femto form, and he is reaching down to Ganishka. This is Ganishka here. You can kind of see his face. This is his nose, this is his eye, this is his mustache. And he's essentially trying to break Ganishka here, and Ganishka is trying his best to resist Griffith, despite every part of him wanting to submit to Griffith. You know, being an apostle, wanting to submit to the God Hand or any God Hand member is kind of natural, but Ganeshka is trying his best to avoid that and seemingly sort of succeeding. I won't go into too much detail. Again, another picture of some of the God Hand members and apostles and everything. So we have Zod here, just sitting down, again missing his one horn. Femto here, kind of distracted, not really looking or paying attention, seemingly. This is a very crucial moment in the story, and here is everyone's favorite cryptic skeleton man, the Skull Knight, with his sword made of baylets. If I remember correctly, I believe his sword is called the Sword of Actuation. I might be wrong about that, but I'm not completely sure. But this weapon is capable of killing members of the God Hand. So at this point in the story, his weapon is the only weapon that can actually threaten the God Hand in any way. And what's about to transpire here is again a very pivotal moment for the series. This part of the book is mainly focusing on the Fantasia and Falcon of the Millennium Empire arcs, which are the two last arcs in Berserk currently. So if I'm being a bit stingy on the details, it's just because I know I'm showing you all the artwork and characters and everything, but if I can help it, I really don't want to spoil Berserk for anyone. Here we have Guts. This is during the Lost Children arc. During his fight with Rosine, this is probably Guts at his lowest point in the entire series. Again, I know I've said this before, but Lost Children is my favorite arc in Berserk. Some more colored pictures here. So Guts, I believe, now, I could be wrong about this, so if I am wrong, I apologize. I believe this is the cover of volume 39 or 40. I'm not sure, actually. So then here we have the cover of the first volume. This is the cover of the second volume. This is the cover of the third volume. This is the cover of the fourth volume. This is at the Golden Age. As you can see, Guts is a lot younger and has his sword from the Golden Age arc. Some more pictures here. So this is during the Golden Age arc. We have Nosferatu Zod in the background, Griffith with his flowing hair, Guts training with his sword, and Casca. This is also the cover of volume 5. Cover of volume 6, Guts in his Raider armor. I actually really like his helmet in this. It's probably one of my favorite helmets. I believe this is the cover of volume 7, but I'm not sure. So we have Guts standing back to back with Casca, and a cool little concept art of Casca here. Guts obviously a lot younger, with him and Griffith here, the cover of volume 8, then the cover of volume 9, and the cover of volume 10 with Guts and Skull Knight in the background. So the cover of volume 11, volume 12, this is when Griffith hatches into Femto. Volume 13, during the chaos of the eclipse. Volume 14, Volume 15, Guts fighting Rosine. Volume 16. Volume 17, Guts and Puck. Volume 19. Volume 18 with a bigger picture of Guts fighting Zod. This is obviously much later on in the story as Zod is missing his horn and Griffith is in the background. We also have Puck here trying to at least provide moral support. Sorry if I'm just flying through these. I'm just trying to pay attention to which volume cover is which. So this one here of Casca is volume 20. This is volume 21 with Griffith in his armor. Again, say what you want about Griffith. The man has style. Volume 22, Griffith and Guts, polar opposites in their armor, in their appearance, in their weapons, everything. Volume 23. Volume 24 with Guts, Casca, Farnese, Serpico, and Isidro. Also, I just wanted to, I should have said this earlier. I know a lot of people call Farnese Farnese, which I did for the longest time. However, I actually did a bit of research into it, and the name is a French name, and it is pronounced Farnese. So, if you're watching these videos and you call her Farnese, and you're like, why is this guy saying Farnese? Farnese is the correct pronunciation, but you know what? Everybody can call the characters whatever they want, whatever they feel most comfortable with, whatever they feel is easier to pronounce, go for it. This is Guts, after using the Berserker armor, because he has his white tuft of hair. Again, this picture of Guts in the Berserker armor with the sword. If you've played Dark Souls, I can't remember what edition it is. It's either the Prepare to Die edition or the cover for the DLC has Artorias in this exact same pose, and Artorias in Dark Souls is known as the Wolf Knight because he has his companion, the Grey Wolf Sif. The Great Grey Wolf Sif. Another colored picture of volume 25 of the gang. So we have Evalira. So volume 25, we have the entire gang. We have Shirake, Evalira, Serpico, Isidro, Guts, Farnese, and Casca. Farnese brandishing her silver dagger to protect Casca. This is obviously when they are in Qliphoth. Volume 32, Guts riding on top of Zod. This is presumably as they're about to attack Ganishka. Guts with his sword in his back for volume 29. Guts about to kill one of the monstrous creatures in the Kushan army. I believe, if I remember correctly, that it is a mutation of, I believe it's an elephant and a whale, or it might just be an elephant, or it might just be a whale, I can't remember. But they're these massive aquatic creatures that have these huge trunks and massive fangs. And Daiba even says, during the Siege of Artanis, that, it would take an army to kill one of these things, yet Guts managed to kill 3 or 4 of them single-handedly, and Daiba is absolutely flabbergasted, to say the least. at seeing Guts. Volume 31, Guts in the Berserker armor with a bit more control. You can see his eye and his mouth, and you know what? I never really saw it before, but yeah, in this picture, he does look like Batman. This is volume 31. Up here is the one I just talked about. Sorry, that's my bad. I lost track of the order. Volume 33 with Griffith. Volume 35. Volume 36 with Guts holding his sword. Volume 37, Guts again holding his sword in the Berserker armor. Volume 38, Guts holding a sword with a very melancholic look on his face, obviously worn and beaten. You can see his arm is covered in cuts and scratches and scrapes with his tuft of white hair. Volume 34 with Griffith and Zod. Volume 39 as they arrive on Elfhelm. So we have Guts. We have Puck here, I believe that's Puck, and Evalira here. These could actually just be random elves. I actually can't tell from this picture with the angle and the lighting currently, because there's loads of elves on Elfhelm, as one might expect. Volume 40, this is Funes and Shirake as they are inside Casca's mind or subconscious, trying to piece her back together. And that, everyone, is the end of the artwork of Berserk. This book was an absolute treat, both to read and to share with you guys. Berserk is one of my favorite pieces of media ever, and to be able to share it with you guys has been an absolute joy for me. So I really, really hope that you have enjoyed not just this part, but all 3 parts. And speaking of 3 parts, I wanted to announce a new kind of video that I'm going to be making for the channel. I'm calling them supercuts. I believe that's the proper term. So every time we finish an art book, regardless of if it's a 2-parter, a 3-parter, or, God forbid, a 4-parter, after we finish the book, I am going to make one long video, which will probably be 3 to 5 hours, depending on the book. I know this one is already going to be about 4 hours, where we go through the book start to finish with the intros and outros cut out. So instead of having to watch part 1, then part 2, then part 3, you can just watch them all and enjoy it in one sitting or multiple sittings. I actually wouldn't recommend watching it all in one sitting, but all in one video without having to continuously click different videos. So thank you so much for watching and listening. If you are watching this video while laying down or going to sleep, this is the end of the video. I would click off or turn your device off so that if an ad plays, it does not wake you up. This is the last we'll be seeing of the Guts Nendroid, for the time being at least. Maybe he'll pop back up if we ever cover more Berserk, but for now, that's the last we'll see of this little fella. Again, your viewership means the absolute world to me, and I cannot wait to make the next art book. The next book will be a gaming art book. This book is really the only one I have for manga. The rest of them are all based on games. I'm not saying which book it is, but it is a From Software game, and I am once I'm finished recording this video and starting the rendering process, I will be starting filming that video. Again, thank you so much for watching. My name is Crimson, and I will see you guys in the next one. Goodbye.